Hello everyone, it is me, DeoGenZ, and it's time to play some more Analogue, a hate story. On the last episode, we narrowly dodged a reactor meltdown, and in this episode, we're going to keep asking the questions that the no longer with us mute had provided. Question 5. How old are you? Yeah, if you died when you were 16, how old would you be now? I guess technically hundreds of years old, because it's been a while since you've had any contact. Isn't that the one question you're never supposed to ask a woman? Gee, so rude. Well, I was born in the year 2415. Then was put into stasis for I don't know how long. Then I lived for another 3 years and died about 622 years ago, at the age of 16. So, you tell me how old I am. I don't know. Really, I don't think it really matters at this point, does it? It doesn't. I didn't mean to ruffle your feathers, but I was just asking the question so we could get the most information. How do you feel about mute? That's a good question. Oh, of course that'd be one of her questions. Well, let me put it this way. I suppose... Did she have anything nice to say about me? That's what I thought. Really, I don't know much about her other than what I've read in other people's logs. She never talked to me, ever. I mean, she wasn't above talking about me, but no, never anything to me. That's all I know about her. She's a gossip. I don't even want to speak to her now. Well, you're in luck. I deleted her. Why couldn't you just settle for a happy marriage? Okay, let's see how she reacts to this one. I have a feeling she's going to be explosive about it, but we'll see. It's not like I ever thought as a child I would never marry. You tell me, though, could you marry someone you'd only ever talked to once? Well, then maybe you shouldn't be judging me for it. It's not like it's my fault. We've both read the same logs. I wasn't the only person on the ship to be crushed by a horrible marriage. Maybe I could have done unspeakable things with our servants like Oso Jin did. Is that what Mute meant by a happy marriage? Sorry, I'm not usually this sarcastic. I just don't think it's a fair question. The two older Kim sisters, you should read their letters. Here, I'll show you. They had it just as bad. It's a really unfair question to ask. Yeah, it absolutely is an unfair question to ask, and the only reason I did was so that we could get a hold of those logs. Did you ever have any friends? I'm sure she... Well, actually, no, I'm not sure if she did. She seemed to hate everyone there in this Analogue, a hate story. After waking up from stasis, I only ever had one single friend. Oh, two, I meant, now that you're here. Anyway, before it was just her. The Queen. My husband's wife, Ryu Jarway. I wrote about her a lot in my diary. I'll just show you. It's probably better if you read it for yourself. These are from right after I got married. Excellent. Yeah, I really want to know this question for sure. If it's even true. Look, there's something you need to understand first. After waking up from stasis, I only ever had one single friend. Oh, two, I meant, now that you're here. Anyway, before it was just her. The Queen, my husband's wife. Okay, you're going to say the same thing, aren't you? Okay. Alright. I'll read those journals. I'll read those diary entries for sure. For Shoresburg. Okay, so we've got new messages here from Sun Hai, or rather to Sun Hai, from Kim Eun Mi. Dear Sun Hai, I wish we'd had more of a chance to talk before I left. I'm sorry it was so sudden. Not my choice. Please believe me. It's really weird living in someone else's home. Even just like the place itself, you know? The walls of the house are way smaller. There aren't even separate women's quarters. It's pretty much just a paper divider separating us from the men most of the time. You can see and hear everything. It's so very weird. Also, there's a lot more to do around the house. If you thought Mom was strict, wow, mother-in-law makes her seem positively gentle in comparison. I know, I'll just have to get used to it, but she kind of scares me. Plus, we don't have any servants here at all, so I have to handle pretty much all the chores. I'll try to write to you regularly, though. Regularly to you, though. So long as I can find the time. Mother-in-law keeps me pretty busy during the day with housework, and my husband keeps me pretty busy during the night with other work. It's pretty much chores all day, every day. But I'll try to sneak in another letter soon, alright? With love from your older sister, Eun-mi. That's really depressing. See, all they was, in this society at least, was strictly maids and chefs. And you go back in American history, you could see some of the 1950s picturesque family models. It was very much based around that idea as well. Maybe not as blatantly, maybe a lot more with consumerism being kind of a cloak of disguise, but yeah, women were expected to only be in the kitchen or cleaning, and no, that doesn't sound right at all, Hayune. So far, sounds good, right? Things fell apart between them with time, though. Here, see for yourself. Yes, let us see, indeed. Kim Sun-hai. Dear Eun-mi, I wish you could have found the time sooner, but if you say you're busy, fine, I believe you. Things aren't very interesting at home. Mom's been really busy lately. I think she's in a big hurry to get me married. I wish she wasn't. How come you didn't have to do interviews until you were 14? Lucky. One of them seems nice, though. I think the man's name was... Oh, I talked to his mother about you for a little bit. I don't remember what brought it up, but I told her about the dolls you left me. The second interview we did, she brought me one of hers from when she was my age, and said I could keep it. Interviews suck, but I think I'd be fine with marrying her son. I mean, if I really have to. She sounds better than your stupid mother-in-law. Love Sun-hee. Sun-hai. Here's the second letter to Eun-mi. Thanks for being able to come to my wedding, even if it was just for a day. Don't worry about what Mom said about you not having kids yet. You shouldn't take that personally. I was really happy to see you again since I wasn't sure if I ever would. I love you, big sister. I'm sorry for bothering you with this so soon after we spoke, but I really need you to answer something for me. I don't have anyone else to ask, and I'm really worried about something. It's really embarrassing, but I just have to know. The night I moved in, my husband and I slept together. I'm not ignorant about how that's supposed to work. I know why. Afterwards, my husband said that everything was fine, and that I shouldn't worry, but it really hurt. A lot. I was crying the whole time, and he injured me so much there was blood everywhere. I know I'm not supposed to question him, but that's not normal, right? Should I insist on seeing a doctor? He seems nice beside that. So I just don't understand. What should I do, big sister? Love Sun-hee. Sun-hai. Is it Sun-hee? I'm going to go say Sun-hee because me is Eun-mi. So that might make more sense. Oh, and word to the wise, if you're listening to this in a public space, put on your headphones because it's about to get graphic, if it already didn't for you. Dear Sun-hee, no, you don't need to see a doctor. I'm sorry to be the bringer of bad news, little sister, but I'm afraid your husband's right. That really is normal. Don't worry about freaking out either. You're a lot younger than I was when I got married, so it's probably even worse for you. I'm so sorry. It gets a little easier after the first time. It's still uncomfortable, though. You just have to endure it. That never changes. I'm sorry. Don't worry about the crying either. Men actually find that to be attractive, so just keep doing it, and you'll probably make him happy. If you're lucky, though, you'll get pregnant quickly and won't have to worry about any of that for months. That aside, though, how have you been? How's your new family? I haven't heard much about them. I kept trying to ask Mom to tell me about your husband, but all I got was that lecture about how I was nearly 3 years old when she'd been... What? About how I was nearly 3 years old when she'd been married for as long as I had? Okay. As if I'm not trying. So do tell me more about him and his family, please, Sun-hee. I'd love to know. With love from your older sister, Yoon-mi. Sorry. Yeah, you should finish the rest first. You can see for yourself how things turned out. Well, I can see they're going swimmingly already. Not really. Here's the third letter to Sun-hee. Dear Sun-hee, I said in my last letter that I was pregnant, and thanks for the congratulations, but I hope you didn't rush to tell Mom. You'll have to send her the bad news. It was a false alarm. I'm afraid I bled this month. I hope you're doing better, little sister. Your child is due any day, right? Love, Yoon-mi. Dear Yoon-mi, I wish I could have written you sooner, but I'm afraid I haven't had the time, what with having a real pregnancy and all to worry about. My mother-in-law insisted that I take the time to write to my family, though, so I just finished a letter to Mom first. Sorry about your false alarm. I did tell Mom, and she wasn't very happy to hear it. I'm sure you're not really surprised by that, though. The good news, I gave birth 2 weeks ago. Her name is Ji-in, and she is the cutest little child you'll ever see. She reminds me a lot of our little brother, although she has her father's eyes, really. I really wish you could meet her. I just know you'd think she's absolutely adorable. So I'm a mother now. I still can't think of myself that way. It's so weird. Right now, she's just so small. She can't even lift her head, but every time I look at her eyes, I wonder, how am I going to be able to raise her? Mother-in-law says I shouldn't worry. It'll come naturally, and she'll be there to help. I guess that's true. I definitely don't know what I'd do without her. At the very least, I sure wouldn't ever get any sleep. It's just scary, you know? Wasn't it just yesterday that we were playing together in our father's house? Now it's been nearly 16 years since I was born. I'm a wife and a mother. How did we get so old? Oh, it's so messed up. I mean, it could be worse. I know that's a good age for both of those things, and that it's really disappointing if you're older and haven't managed that. I have it good. It's just odd to think about. But I'm not complaining, and when you're a mother, you'll understand why, big sister. I just love her so much. She means everything to me. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. I think Ji-in is crying to be fed now, and mother-in-law can't help with that, so I'll leave it there. Take care, sister. Love, Sun-hee. Or Sun, sorry. Dear Sun-hee, well, maybe you could use a little more caution in what you send to Mom, because it's not like you don't know how annoyed she can get. Especially at me. There's a reason you're the only one she actually talks to. I'm trying, you know, but I can only do so much. Congratulations on your daughter. I'm really excited to hear about that. Yeah, it's a shame that I can't see her. She sounds wonderful. I don't really have much else to say. I just wanted to acknowledge your letter. Things haven't really been worth talking about. My mother-in-law is still a crazy tyrant, and my husband and I are still trying to have a son. Nothing new, nothing worth mentioning. I'm glad things are going much better for you. With regards, Yoon-mi. Dear Yoon-mi, how long's it been since we last wrote each other? It feels like it's been forever. I wish you wouldn't be such a stranger. I have a 2-year-old son now. His name is Tae-hyun, and he takes after his father in a lot of ways. He's just started to learn how to talk much earlier than Ji-in did, no surprise. But Ji-in is a real sweetheart. She's what reminded me of you. The two of them had fought, so I was scolding her. I told her that I was disappointed, that I expected better from her as an older sister. I gave her the whole filial responsibility speech, you know, the one that Mom always used to give. It's funny, I hated that so much as a kid. I promised myself I'd never guilt my own children that way. Now I just think to myself, well, it worked, didn't it? Anyway, she asked me what it meant to be an older sister. I had trouble with that one. Finally, I said, it means you should be a good role model. Teach your little brother what it means to be responsible by example. Show him. That was a good enough answer for her, but I thought about it, and it's not a good enough answer for me. Not at all. It's you that I've been thinking of, and you know I turned out okay. I wish I could take back what I said and tell Ji-in what I'm going to tell you. You don't have to be perfect. You're not a good role model, but that's fine. I love you anyway, big sister, and I always will. Even if everyone is disappointed in you, even if you're not really family anymore, as far as I'm concerned, you're still my big sister. You don't have to be perfect. I love you, period. Please write back, sister, even if you don't have good news to report. I just want to hear how you are. Love, Sun-hee. Getting swept up in marriage. There's one more that Yun-mi never sent. I'm going to warn you now, though it's really intense. You sure you want to read it? Very well. There you are. It's been added. Don't say I didn't warn you, though. Alright, so really put on headphones if you're in a public place, because I'm sure this is not going to be pleasant. Oh boy. What became of Kim Yun-mi? Let's see. Dear Sun-hee, you know what? Fine. I'll tell you the truth. The false alarm? It wasn't a false alarm. I didn't lie about the bleeding. That was true. But I really was pregnant at the time. More than I let on in my letter. As in morning sickness, giant belly, you could see it. I was really pregnant and bleeding. My husband brought in the doctor immediately, who asked me all sorts of questions about everything. I was fine, perfect health, no injuries, I told him. So he pulled out his instruments and started listening for my son's heartbeat. And listened, and listened, and listened. It felt like forever that he kept trying, and I couldn't understand why he couldn't find something. I knew just had to be there. The obvious never occurred to me. He had to explain it. I'm sorry, the doctor said. There's no heartbeat. The fetus is dead. He couldn't do anything about it. It took a week for the actual miscarriage to happen. It was the worst week of my life. It was hellish. You've had 2 children, I'm sure you know that wonderful feeling when you get when you realize you're with child, that you know that you're going to have a baby and can feel him inside you, and imagine what he's going to look like and what he'll grow up to be, and that right now he's depending on you more than ever to keep him safe. You know the feeling, I'm sure. Just the day before, I had been so happy. I was going to finally have a child. After I found out, I could still feel him, dead, but still inside me, sloshing around. The day before, I thought I was filled with a beautiful life, but I was actually filled with death. I would have no son. What I was carrying was just a corpse, weighing me down. I thought I'd feel better once I expelled it, but then I saw it, this awful bloody mess that should have been a son. It was awful, so awful. After I saw it, my husband had to force me to wash myself, because all I wanted to do was crawl into my bed and die. I didn't get out of bed for a whole month after that, save for a brief hour. So I could write to you and tell you that I wasn't pregnant. Eventually I recovered. I realized it wasn't really my fault. Eventually we started trying again. After all, what you, Mom, and Mother-in-law have all been implying is right. I'd be a lousy wife if, after 8 years of marriage, I still hadn't had a child. So we tried, and I did eventually get pregnant. That was half a year ago. You're right, I'm not perfect. I'm as broken as it gets. The one most important thing in the world for a woman to do, and I can't do it. You've been pregnant twice, and you now have 2 wonderful children that you love. I've been pregnant twice, and all that's happened is I've killed them both. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know why. The doctor says I didn't do anything wrong, but clearly I can't bring life into this world. The only thing I can bring is death, little sister. Today I overheard my husband talking to my mother-in-law about considering taking on a second wife to actually give him a child. He sounded really disappointed in me. I don't know what to do. Kill myself, maybe? Since killing seems to be all I can do? It'd be better for everyone. It'd be easier on my husband, and you wouldn't have to worry about me being a disappointment, at least. It's the only thing I can think of. What else could I possibly do? You and me. Wow. I don't know about you, but I had really a hard time reading that the first time. Yeah, so did I. Can you imagine that? It's even as if I knew her. I didn't even know either existed when I was alive. I mean, sure, their mother mentioned that she'd had daughters before, in a sort of abstract way. But she never told me so much as their names, let alone, well, anything. Anyway, none of that was my original point. My point was, now do you see what I mean? When Mute talks about a happy marriage, that's what she's talking about. It's not as if I'm the only woman to have a horrible marriage. It wasn't my fault. That's what happens. That's normal. Well, that type of normalcy is bullshit. Ugh, man. Alright guys, I don't know about you. I've had enough depressing things for one day. Analogue, a hate story, will continue on in the next episode when we go over some of Block 6, if not all of it. Yeah, we'll probably just do all of it because there's not that many logs in here, but I'm sure Hayune has more to show than she lets on. So I will see you all in the next episode.